I did YouTube for 1 year, got monetized, and made over 4,000 subscribers, which isn't much, but here's 10 things that I've learned in the process. YouTube is a very complicated platform, which is why you're never going to see the results you want on day one, which is why the first thing I want to cover is to never ever give up. Ever. This is probably like rule number 1 when it comes to YouTube. A lot of you will probably relate to this, but when I was little, my dream was to become a YouTuber. So I tried it once. And gave up immediately after. My videos weren't getting anywhere, and I just assumed that it was luck. I really wish I didn't do that. In reality, there is no secret or golden door or any kind of luck factor for that matter. That's the mindset that I used to have when it came to YouTube, and if I never had that mindset, I might be in a totally different place today. Heck, this is the first video on this channel, so this is probably gonna get like 25 views, but am I gonna keep posting? Of course, because I know I'll keep coming up with newer and newer ideas. Not every video is the equivalent of buying a scratch off, and I know I say that with only one breakout video and 4,800 subscribers, but it's true, so drop that mentality right now. All right, let's see. And that's how they get you. Am I saying you're gonna be Mr. Beast in 3 weeks by posting consistently? No, you're not. Which brings me to my second lesson. Don't quit your job.
We've seen it.
And? I wouldn't quit your day job.
Oops, he already did.
Don't be in this situation. I know YouTube can be seen as one of those side hustles to escape the matrix or the 9 to 5 or whatever you want to call it, but if you're working right now, please, I beg of you, don't quit the job unless you know you can pay your bills with YouTube. I got monetized in 1 year, but I'm not making enough to make a living out of it yet, and it's probably gonna be a long time before I can. Luckily, I didn't have to learn this the hard way, but you got some people like Jake Paul who became famous relatively quickly, making some people think, oh my gosh, I need to do this is awesome, just for it all to blow up in your face. Generating a following overnight is possible, but is it probable? Hell no. While yeah, there are some YouTubers who are practically born with the skill, it took many other YouTubers years to get to where they are now. Mr. Beast, iShowSpeed, Moist Critical, don't worry about it if it's been like 1 year and you're still at 1,000. You're coming up with new ideas all the time, and having one that pays off is almost inevitable, so long as you keep going and don't quit the job that literally gives you the startup capital for this. Seriously, I mean, come on, are you crazy? Number 3, don't overthink in the wrong places. Okay, so this is probably where you'll start actually making the channel. You'll likely think to yourself, what should I have as a channel banner and a profile picture? And one thing that I have to say about that is, stop thinking about it. When it comes to stuff like that, just don't think about it and put something that you like. You can take a picture of yourself, draw something, or just put a character that you like. If you like it, it works, so long as it follows the guidelines. This is gonna sound obvious, but some people need to hear it. Stuff like profile pictures and channel banners don't matter like at all. It is entirely up to preference. When I started this new channel, I just put a picture of Walter White and called it a day. When I started the channel I spent a year on, I would sit there for an hour on the channel banner alone. That sounds really stupid to say out loud, but it's true. And it's not just those two. Stuff like the description, your bio, or even your video watermark really do not matter. The same can technically be said about hashtags, but if you put the wrong one, your video is likely going to go to the wrong audience. Hashtags, though, are almost entirely optional. Don't put them unless you want to help out the algorithm a little bit, and don't spam your video description with them. I've always been good with about 2 or 3. But my point is, don't overthink in the wrong places. As long as you're putting out decent content, you're good. When I started YouTube, I started with YouTube Shorts. And although I made over 4,000 subscribers, over 1,000 of those subscribers were from Shorts. If you have an idea for a short, don't be afraid to get to work on it. Shorts are very good if you're just now starting out. They get pushed out easily, and they're easy to make thanks to their format. There's a bunch of YouTubers who found their footing through Shorts. And it's possible the same could happen to you. Whether it's cooking, doing a project, or just doing stupid stuff, short videos can really help you get your start. Something you have to remember, however, is that the pacing needs to be really quick. You pretty much need to grab their attention right away. Otherwise, your audience is just gonna swipe away like the zombies they are.
I think you have a problem with that phone.
Make sure your idea has value and a purpose, and as soon as you offer or fulfill that, end the short. In terms of length, it really depends on what you think works best for your idea. I've always liked to go more than 30 seconds, but no more than 60. But if you want to go the full 3 minutes, more power to you. But before you record that first short, you need to make sure you have the right equipment first. Which brings me to lesson 4. Make sure you have the right equipment. Without proper lighting, footage would look like this. Without a decent camera, footage would look like this. And without a computer or even a phone, nothing. This is where YouTube sort of begins to turn into a financial investment. Before you start a video, make sure you have the right equipment to give that video as much production value as you can. Now, a video can definitely blow up without production value. Maybe you just want something natural or unedited, or there's a certain vibe you want to create. If this is the case, or you're just low on funds, just go ahead and record that video. But if you're a gaming channel, don't point the camera at the screen. Use OBS or buy a capture card. If you're a vlogging channel, maybe don't use a flip phone or a Nintendo to record footage. Use a high-end phone or a professional video camera. Albeit both are pretty pricey options, but hey, that's why we kept the job, right? In terms of camera angle, if you're just talking flat out directly to the camera, I at least like to make it level with my face. That way, the audience doesn't seem above or below me, but you can do whatever works for you. Like I said, if you're somehow in a situation where you can't afford any equipment, that's okay, as long as the video looks the way you want it to look. But remember, production value is important. I cannot stress that enough. However, I wouldn't say it's as important as the title and the thumbnail, which leads me to number 6. Thumbnail and title matter. It sounds so obvious, but believe it or not, I have had people tell me that this isn't the case. You're wrong, dude. These two are actually so make or break it isn't funny. Unless you're Mr. Beast and come up with the craziest video idea of all time, your title and thumbnail are crucial to getting people's attention. Now, I'm no master at creating thumbnails. I've even offended a few people without knowing it, but I have a process, and it's pretty long. In short, don't mesh a bunch of random crap together and call it a thumbnail. Really think about what you want your audience to expect when clicking on your video. Now, I'm going to explain my process, however, you don't have to follow it step by step every time. Feel free to skip ahead if you don't want to hear it, or if you just start to get bored. I sketch out 9 possible thumbnails in a notebook. Now, they don't have to be good sketches. The sketches I make are horrible, but they're proof of concept. When actually coming up with a thumbnail, I like to minimize the amount of text to probably at most 4 words, or have no text at all if possible. I also don't want to put my face in the thumbnail unless I really have to. Ironic, as I'm still a small creator, and if I put an unfamiliar face in it, it's a little less likely to get clicks. So I avoid this as often as I can, but hey, it might work for you. Who knows? When thinking up the actual design, I like to make them as minimalist as possible in order to easily catch someone's attention. Sometimes they actually end up really nice and creative. Other times it ends up looking a little too plain, but I don't like to add too many elements to my thumbnail, otherwise it's going to become a jumbled up, ugly mess that isn't pretty to look at. After sketching them out, I then choose 3 possible thumbnails to put in the video and place in the thumbnail tester. Now, when designing the final thumbnails, I like to use this trick photographers use called rule of thirds. Basically, it divides an image into 9 parts and places the subject or the main character or whatever you want to call it at the intersection of those lines. It helps make the thumbnail as aesthetically pleasing as possible, but you don't have to do it every time. Also, don't worry about the quality of the elements you put in the thumbnail, as most of the time the thumbnails display at a really small resolution, and if there's some kind of little blurb or pixel or mistake or whatever, nobody's gonna notice it. And finally, if a video is up for a day or 2 and has a really low click rate, I like to swap out the 3 possible thumbnails for another 3, and repeat the process again. After that, if a video still has a really low click rate, I don't swap out the thumbnails, I just leave them there. Because let's face it, if it takes more than 5 thumbnails, let alone 3, the problem's not the thumbnail, it's the video. In terms of titles, I don't really work as much on these, but as long as they're catchy and get the idea forward, it gets the job done. I do, however, make sure that the title is less than 60 characters long, so it doesn't do that ... thing. At the end of the day, titles and thumbnails are crucial to videos. Make sure you work on these as much as you can, because you could have a video with a crap thumbnail get like 50,000 views, which is good, but that same video with an even better thumbnail could get way more. You never know. Next, you want to provide value in your content. Now, what do I mean by value exactly? Do I mean a ton of money or a Louis Vuitton? How about a new car? No, I don't mean any of that. Though, I mean, hey, you could provide some value. Look at Mr. Beast. I mean, provide something that viewers will get from the video emotionally. Maybe it's some funny animation providing comical value, or a documentary providing educational value. When people share content, what do you think they share it for? To pass that value from one person to another. Now, this is actually where coming up with ideas comes in. Now, I'm gonna be honest, brainstorming ideas is still somewhat of a challenge for me, but when I get one, I write it down almost immediately on Notion, which is where today's sponsor comes in. Just kidding. You should see the look on your face right now. You're not laughing. I like to have a good number of ideas in the chamber to try out. You don't have to do this, however. This is simply so I could be chucking out content as consistent as I can, which I know is pretty hard for some people. But when I brainstorm an idea, I like to think to myself, is this something people would want to watch? What value will this idea bring to the table? And can I come up with a good title and thumbnail? If one of the answers is none or no, then I don't go through with it. And this happens way more often than not, so don't worry if you still don't have an idea just yet. But speaking of titles and thumbnails, the introduction should match the title and the thumbnail. Let's say you go into a pizzeria and they're selling tacos. Your first instinct would be to leave, unless you're in the mood for a taco. If a viewer clicks on your video and 30 to 60 seconds in, you're still yapping on about your Friday morning, unless that's what the video is about, the viewer's gonna click off. And viewer retention is a big stat for YouTube. It tells them that your video can keep them on their website. And if your video can't do that, they don't push it out. So I highly recommend mentioning what's in the title almost right away. It's why I don't have an intro for my channel. I don't like having them. And if you can, try showing elements of your thumbnail in the first 30 seconds of your video. If you're using the thumbnail tester, show the thumbnail that you think is gonna win. A perfect example of this actually is Mark Rober's world record egg drop video. Notice the thumbnail and the title. Now notice the first 5 seconds.
Space, and this is an egg, moments before I attempted the world's highest egg drop.
Mentioning that thumbnail or title right away may not help with clicks, but it helps viewers stay by showing them something that they expected to see. And to go above and beyond this is lesson 9. Treat every video like it's going to blow up. Now, what exactly do I mean by this? The mindset of, yeah, this John's probably gonna get like 20 views, I'm not working hard on this, is pretty common. If you think your video is not going to get the popularity you want it to get, don't half-ass it. Continue to put as much love and care into that video as you initially intended, because if you are wrong and your video does blow up, people aren't going to like it. I actually learned this the hard way with my most popular video and the one that got me monetized. The link between Sonic and autism. First off, yes, Sonic the video game character. I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, come on, trust me. People loved the video and it had a lot of positive reception. However, it wasn't perfect. I received a lot of criticism saying that it's too generalized and it can apply to a lot of other video game characters. I went in this more simplified direction because I didn't want a complex, hard to understand video. However, I also didn't think it was going to get that many views. There was a lot more I could have incorporated to that video. More humor, more aspects, more moving parts, but I didn't. But if I did, that video may have done even better. I mean, hey, I'm not complaining. The video still did really good, and it taught me a lesson that I'm giving to you right now. To treat every video like it's going to get 1 million views. So I don't really let that mishap get to my head, which leads me to my final lesson. Don't let it get to your head. Mentality is a big part of growing a YouTube channel, and it's not something I think these YouTube tutorial masters cover enough. Do you want to buy my course? You want to buy my course? There were so many times where I just wanted to quit. I would get so painfully angry when a video I spent hours on would only get like 400 views. However, I would push on and continue, because getting angry is not the mindset to have. When it comes to something like YouTube, stoicism, or the act of struggle without emotion is very important. Stop looking at things as good or bad. Stop taking a 500 view video as a bad thing. it's better than 0. You want to have this push-pull mentality of things are going okay with my channel, but I can work harder to make it better. You learn something with every mistake and loss. If a video doesn't get the results you wanted it to, good. You learned something. Watch the video and analyze what caused it to do so bad. Maybe it wasn't even the video. Maybe if click rate's low, it was the topic. At the end of the day, it shows that you will need to change and modify some things. As far as emotions go, practice habits that will help you out mentally and give you a short break. Exercise, meditate, read, study, or spend time with family. In short, if you let YouTube mess with your emotions, it can destroy you. And if there's nothing you can do about it, maybe YouTube isn't for you. But if there is something you can do about it, get it done. Because I believe that if they put their mind to it, anybody can be a YouTuber. It just takes time, practice, discipline, and dedication. Never give up. And that was the 10 things I learned in my first year of YouTube. Thank you so much for getting this far. I really poured all I could into this video because the topic means a lot to me. I see all these how to be a YouTuber videos, and to be honest, they all feel like bots. I wanted to add a little more humanity to this topic by giving people an insight as to what to do as they start a YouTube channel from my experience. By not selling them a course. And listen, I'm no YouTube guru or master or whatever you want to call it. But to sum it all up, you don't need to pay for any courses or special tools. It all boils down to your video idea. It's going to take lots of practice to figure out what works and what doesn't. But as long as you keep going, you'll be okay. Remember, it never hurts to try. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.